Hey guys, Andrew Shrout here on the sideboard. I'm here with Joe Lossett, the Season 3 points leader.
That's right.
And we're here to talk about your standard deck. So you're playing White-Blue Heroic. This is a deck that we've seen you play on the Open Series so far this season. So not a huge surprise here.
No, yeah, I mean it's progressing. The first time I played it, I went 2-4 and misread 3 of the cards on my own deck, which resulted in some of those losses. And then I went 7-2, and then I played it at the actual invitational, and I went 5-1. So I'm happy with it, and it's been treating me well.
Okay, and at this point we know what all our cards do.
We do. I thought we knew the third time I played, I thought we knew. Well, there's no way I'll screw up anything rules related, and then I screwed up a rule on camera. But now I've definitely got it.
It's a tricky situation.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, basic interactions of the deck. You know, it's tricky. We'll call it that.
Sure. All right. So the White-Blue Heroic deck it's kind of a known quantity. So we'll breeze through the the descriptions. But you have your heroic guys.
Everyone has these 12 guys. I mean, it's tough to really keep an opening hand that doesn't have a hero, because you always basically the whole deck functions off of them.
Okay. Some additional creatures.
Yeah. So these guys, I mean, obviously have other uses. The tutoring up the auras, and then the Seeker is just kind of another solid guy. Where I actually played this week. I tried for a fair number of matches without the Seekers in the deck. Okay. And I just played extra heroes instead, and it actually hurt more than I expected, because the Seeker, even though it's not, putting like an ordeal on a Seeker is kind of tough, because there's a long window to kill it before it triggers.
Right. But
while you're loading up a hero, the Seeker still can, like, if you play 2 spells on a hero, the Seeker's still a 4/4 for that turn.
Right.
That's pretty awesome. If you have another hero, the other hero's a 2/1 or a insignificant creature. So it adds. I went down from 3 to 2, but I tried 0, and that didn't seem like it was going to work.
Okay. So Seeker kind of like a weird proxy hero.
It's just another guy. Yeah.
And then speaking of other guys, Helliod's Pilgrim, which kind of doubles as it's like a creature / aura split card.
Yeah, it's like a Stoneforge Mystic almost, and it does a lot of work. And it's some of the lists have 3, some have 4, and I've always, even though some of them get like 1 or 2 get sideboarded out occasionally, I still like having the 4, because putting one of these on a hero is really what you want to be doing in the early turns of the game every time.
So Ordeal of Thassa, kind of the marquee aura, like the biggest payoff.
Yeah, I mean it draws you into, like, making your guys big is important, and drawing into more protection spells to protect those guys is really, those are the 2 things you're trying to do, and it helps you with both of them.
Okay, so just having more card volume, really the biggest thing.
Yeah.
2 additional ordeals, this time Ordeal of Heliod.
Yeah, so I had 1 ordeal, well, I basically copied other lists a month ago when I started playing this, before I started, really getting into it myself.
Right.
So there was 1 ordeal back when there was like 3 or 4 Seekers in the deck, and then when some Seekers started getting cut, like putting another ordeal in felt like a way to make up for the loss of life gain.
Gotcha.
And I feel pretty solid about that. It's also a big card in like the mirror, where a lot of times you're just racing past each other, and a 10 life swing is pretty significant. And having 2 in the deck is basically just it's almost like a time walk when you're crashing past each other. No one can block anything.
Okay. 4 Defiant Strike, 4 God Dwelling. These are pretty staple.
Yeah, everyone has that. Yeah.
And then 2 Feet of Resistance, 1 Trident Tactics, 1 Stubborn Denial. So like past the 4 God Dwelling, it seems like there's a lot of flexibility.
There is a little bit, yeah. The Stubborn Denials, I started with 2. Oh, I'm sorry, after the first time I played it, I went to 2. It's like, this card seems cool. You can stop Crackling Doom, which is a real big problem for the deck. Okay. And then a couple times, I have like a 3/3 hero, and they have some stuff, and I have 2 Stubborn Denials in my hand, and I'm like, I can't get through anything. This sucks. So I went back down to 1, and the Triton Tactics, I started trying a few days ago, and it's a big card. I mean, it's nice that it can pump 2 of your guys at the same time, but also it's nice because it can really turn a race around. Like, if I'm attacking with some guy that's like unblockable, and then they're attacking back with Siege Rhinos or CDC or whatever they have, then the fact that you can untap and block, or even Rabblemaster also that comes up, because with Triton Tactics on a hero, even a pumped up Rabblemaster, you can usually block and kill and survive. Okay. And so it can really, just a 1 turn of untapping and then just ambushing their attackers turns out to be really significant.
Okay. Just a huge tempo swing there.
Yeah.
And then 2 Aqueous Form to round out the deck.
Yeah, so 2 Aqueous Form. So I played it first with Stratus Walk. Like, I'd say people are split between Aqueous Form and Stratus Walk on their evasion, because you need some evasion. Sure. And the Stratus Walk just continually seemed like, I mean, it's like cantrip, which is great, so you're throwing a card away by not having it, but it's not always evasion.
Yep.
You know, there's, you know, if you get long enough in a game and they land, if your opponent lands a Hornet Queen, you're never getting through that with a Stratus Walk.
Sure.
There's Mantis Riders still running around. There's Stormbreath Dragons, which the entire deck, all my creatures are white.
Okay.
Stormbreath Dragon, nothing's getting through that.
Sure.
Stratus Walk doesn't help.
Okay.
And at the Invitational last week, I had a match where my opponent played Stormbreath Dragon after boarding, and I played Aqueous Form, and he's like, "You're supposed to have Stratus Walk." I was like, "Sorry,
no promise."
I didn't like Stratus Walk. I feel like the Aqueous Form is better." And he's like, "But it's a cantrip, and setting that aside, you have to be playing Stratus Walk so I can block your guys." I'm like, "Sorry, you're dead." So yeah, I'm pretty happy with Aqueous Form.
Okay. Went through the bargaining phase.
Yeah,
there.
yeah, it was kind of like denial, like this can't be happening. But
sure.
yeah, it was.
Right,
yeah, so
fair
I'm
enough.
a big fan of Aqueous Form. Losing the cantrip hurts, but I think the full unblockable is worth a lot.
Sure. The lands are lands. We
Yeah, the
won't
lands are
focus
lands.
too much on the mana base.
Yeah.
Before we get to the sideboard, I want to talk a little about why you chose to play this deck in the first place. I know you've been playing this deck for a while, but like what drew you to this archetype then?
Well, so basically, I had played Blue-Black Control for the first several events I played with in this current standard format, and I did okay at first, and then less good. And I was playing online. I wasn't doing very well. I'm like, I enjoy the deck, but I just feel like it's not that great. I was like, well, I should try. And I don't do enough of this in standard. I should just play other people's decks, try them out, and find one and try them out. And so the first one I played Tom Ross's Heroic deck, and I didn't get past that. I was like, this deck is really cool. I like it a lot. And yeah, so that was I had a list of like 6 things to try and got to the first one. I'm like, I'm done. This will work.
Easy game.
Yeah.
All right. And then again, before we get to the sideboard, because I kind of figure your sideboard will be kind of contingent on this. This is a weird tournament. It's small.
Yeah.
The metagame is relatively easy to predict, compared to like an Open or something like that.
That's definitely true. I mean, some of these guys, like Brad Nelson comes to mind, could be playing anything.
Sure.
But yeah, a lot of people will be playing the decks that they've been playing, and I would have personally, people are going to be able to know that I'm playing this probably if they put much thought into it, or even any thought into it.
Sure.
And yeah, I would like to confound that, but I'm just not going to. Like this, and other people have said this too, and like this standard format feels like, it's like someone compared it to how Legacy was, somebody in an article compared it to how Legacy generally is thought of, where if you learn how to play your deck well, then it's not worth like trying to get the edge of a different matchup. Just play the deck you know how to play well. And I went through enough pitfalls learning to play this one. I was like, I'm just going to stick with this. And yeah, you could, I feel like the deck is basically, if your opponent's playing green, you're in good shape.
Okay.
And that very likely could be a fair amount of the field. The Crackling Doom is really the card I'm afraid of.
Okay.
Hopefully not too many people are playing that, but we'll see. I didn't really do a lot of work trying to guess what people will be playing as far as standard goes.
You knew you were playing this. So
I knew I was playing this, and so I was just, how can I make this work for me? Yeah.
All right, so we'll run through the sideboard really quickly. Just like, where do you bring in these cards?
Yeah, so one extra Trailblazer is good against decks have burn removal, Lightning Strike, Magma Spray after boarding. Okay. Because they can't kill it. Okay. And also, basically anything that's less than 3 mana cannot kill that in the early game. And then, so it's basically a safer hero. And it's also, sometimes against Thoughtseize, you might want another hero just overall. And so, so there's one of those. The Treasure Cruise is to reload against control decks. And the Stubborn Denial is going to come in against the control decks for something like End Hostilities, but really it's there also for Crackling Doom. All right. Because that's just trying to do everything I can to beat that card, because that's rough. More evasion against decks with lots of creatures, sure, but really it's for decks where I'm afraid that at some point you just can't. They'll overload you with removal and kill your Aqueous Form guy, and you have to have more Aqueous Forms to put. Okay. Like I can rebuild another guy, but if he can't get through, it doesn't do me any good. Right. An extra Ordeal against the Mirror and against aggressive stuff, and then 3 Glare of Heresies for the Mirror. Right. Being able to kill their heroes is really big, and I think it's pretty much accepted that you're boarding out a lot of your God's Willing type stuff in the Mirror. So if you can shoot at the heroes, they're going to die. Okay. And that's pretty significant. All right. Oh, what else do we have here? Erases, that gets, Ordeals in the Mirror before they can trigger, but also the Ascendancy stuff. Sure. And then randomly, half the creatures in some of the whip decks. Yeah. Okay. And then you a little more enchantment removal. Yeah, a little more. I really overloaded on enchantment removal because I felt like the matches I was afraid of were, aside from Crackling Doom, which is a whole other thing, Whip can really cause a problem. Not so much to bring back the creatures, but the life gain. Sure. And so that handles that. And then Ascendancy is just overall frightening.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the greatest deck, although it might be, but it's just scary.
Okay.
So having enough cards against that seemed like a good idea.
right.
And then the one Presence is an extra protection spell. It's also the only one that, like, God's Willing stuff can't save you from, and Hostilities, and this can.
Okay. All right, well, thanks for coming in and talking with us.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Stick around. We've got plenty more coverage coming of the Players' Championship here in Roanoke.